everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and I want to do just a quick little review for a film that I just saw the other day for the very first time, and it's from 1976, and it was put out by Screen Factory back this past December, and that is the 4K release for Carrie. Had never seen this film before, but come on, everybody knows, any horror fan knows of the old prom scene with the pig's blood. Everybody knows that scene if you're a horror fan. And of course, how does it look? Looks fantastic. Screen Factory doing an incredible job putting this out in 4K. Looks great, sounds great as well. 4K Ultra HD disc along with Blu-ray and an additional Blu-ray with special features. Now, of course, this has Sissy Spacek. We have Piper Laurie. We have Nancy Allen. We have PJ Soles, 2 years prior to her appearance in John Carpenter's classic Halloween. We have John Travolta. We have William Katt. Great cast throughout this entire film. Now, there will be some spoilers, but, you know, in a way, I don't really know if you can really spoil this film too much because there's been so many things that have been done and shown about this film over the years with the prom scene, because that's really the bread and butter for this film, is that iconic prom scene. But first off, this film starts off, and there will be some spoilers. I will have to do some spoilers. There's just no way around it. There will be some spoilers. This film starts off in a very traumatizing situation for Carrie White, played by Sissy Spacek. All the girls have just come in from gym class, and, you know, they're getting cleaned up. And for Carrie, she's experiencing her first period. And what a horrific scene for this young girl, traumatizing that she is, you know, what she's going through. Because she's experiencing something that her mother never warned her about, never told her about. Something that her mom should have. And, you know, she goes to her classmates, you know, help me, you know, I have blood going, everything. All her classmates can do is laugh at her, laugh in her face, and throw towels at her and tell her to cover it up and plug it up. You know, thank goodness for her gym teacher, who kind of like takes her in, almost, you know, almost becomes like another mother figure for Carrie, really sympathizing for this young girl and kind of helping her out. And, you know, for the girls who laughed at her, you know, especially Nancy Allen's character, she's one of the most evilest characters I've ever seen in a film. She is just, she's horrific, absolutely horrific. But she wants to get back because she obviously is now going to pay the price for laughing at Carrie. The gym teacher kind of takes it out on her. And, you know, she, like I said, she's going to pay that price, but she wants to make Carrie pay and humiliate her at all costs. So, her and her boyfriend, played by, surprisingly, John Travolta, playing a real complete douchebag in this movie, they have a very volatile relationship, the two of them. He slaps her around, she calls him names, but she knows how to manipulate Travolta to get exactly what she wants. And that's for him to get a bucket of pig's blood and help her set this up at the prom to pour onto Carrie at the right time, as soon as Carrie is accepting prom queen, because they are going to rig the prom king and queen voting so that they can get exactly what they want, and that's humiliate Carrie. Now, Carrie obviously winds up going to the prom with William Katt's character. Him and Amy Irving, they are, you know, they're a couple, but, you know, Amy, she wants to take, you know, sympathy and show some care, you know, loving care for Carrie. So she asks her boyfriend, William Katt, to take Carrie to the prom. And it's an interesting dynamic because at first he's kind of like reluctant about doing it, but he wants to do it for his girlfriend. But, you know, he seems like he starts coming around once they do get the prom. But things, obviously, you know, as we can tell, things are not going to end well in this prom. And let's go back and let's talk about Carrie's mom, played by Piper Laurie. She's a very religious woman, but she is over the top with religion. Any kind of thing, any kind of time that Carrie wants to be loved and show any kind of love, or, you know, possibly finding love, she considers that a sin. And she locks Carrie in a closet and tells her, you know, go in there and pray to be saved, and, you know, then you can come out of the closet. Just really, it's a shame what she puts her own daughter through. We eventually find out exactly kind of why this has happened, you know, what happened to Carrie's father. So, yeah, there's a little bit more of a backstory that we find out at the very end of the film. And, of course, the big thing is Carrie has telekinesis. So she can move things throughout, different objects. And it's very, very small at the very beginning, but then it picks up big time by the end. And that is when all hell breaks loose at the prom. Because her mom, one of the last things her mom says before she goes to prom, and her mom does not want her to go to prom, what she says is they're all going to laugh at you. So, to me personally, and I know I've heard some people say different things, different theories and ideas about the film, but I think that that sticks in Carrie's mind. So when she sees, when the pig's blood spills on her at the end, at the towards the climax of the film, we do get an idea that it's Carrie thinking back about what her mom said, and everybody's not laughing at her. I think there are some, but the people that she is visualizing laughing at her are not really laughing at her at all. But she is just completely traumatized and humiliated now, having this pig's blood on her. And now she's just going to wreak havoc on all of her classmates at the prom. And of course, John Travolta and Nancy Allen's, their characters, the payback that Carrie gets on them is pretty satisfying. Because I think for this particular film, you're kind of taken in a way like Carrie she's always been considered as horror icon, this horrific character. But if she is a villain, she's a very sympathetic villain to a point, in my opinion, because everything is leading up to this. Everything that everybody has done and said to her, including her mother, has finally pushed her to the breaking point. Absolutely over the edge. And she kind of, she loses herself at the prom. Kind of comes back around when she gets home. But then it just all starts again with the way her mother treats her when she gets home. And we'll go in a little bit more to the very end now. So if you've gotten this far and you've never seen the film, well, why haven't you watched the film already before you come here? I mean, I put spoilers on the, in the title. So shame on you. But we do get towards the end when Carrie comes home from the prom, just soaked in, pig's blood. She goes to get cleaned up and she goes upstairs, and a very scary scene. To me, I thought it was spooky, it was creepy, it was scary. She's going upstairs to go to the bathroom, to get cleaned up. And she's looking for her mom, but her mom's nowhere to be found. But behind the door's kind of like closed a little bit. Her mom is actually behind the door. And just the way, she doesn't say a word, but you could definitely see that her mom is there. And it's just very, very creepy. And of course, her mom is, Carrie gets cleaned up and she goes and gives her mom a hug. And her mom plunges a knife right into Carrie's back. So horrific. Her own daughter, to cleanse her, as in her idea, in her mind, to cleanse her of this sin and to get rid of the demon inside Carrie, she's going to try to murder her own daughter. And of course, Carrie defends herself and uses her telekinesis on her mother. And we get to that, the very, very end scene of what happens to both of them in this house at the very, very end. So I won't spoil that. I won't spoil the last, the last big shot of the film. Well, actually two big last shots of the film. And I won't spoil those, just in case you got this far. Like I said, shame on you for sticking with this video when you could have been watching this film, because it's not a long film. It's only like an hour and 35 minutes. What are you doing? You could have came back and watched this again. But I digress. This film is, I would say, leading up to maybe like an hour and like a little bit over an hour into this film, I would say for me, probably about a 7.5 score-wise. 7.5 out of 10. Not too shabby, pretty darn good. But once the prom scene happens, this film bumps up for me. And I think, for me, I'm going to end this at an 8 out of 10 for Carrie. I think this film holds up. Brian De Palma's visuals, directing are outstanding. And this is a great adaptation of the Stephen King novel. I can't say enough. It encapsulates everything of the 70s. And if you watch this channel before, you know how I feel about certain movies that were made in the 70s, especially earlier 70s. But this film just hits all the right marks, captures a little bit of that early 70s, but definitely starts showing where we're going to go later on into the 70s. And you definitely get those vibes of this is where things are going to lead, especially with like Halloween coming out 2 years later. I love it because you see where horror is definitely starting to get that momentum and start picking up. because this film definitely does have some pretty good, horrific scenes in it. Not too crazy that you're gonna scare the youngsters away a lot, but but be aware, I wouldn't have too many youngsters watch this. There is some nudity in the film as well, but overall, I think this film is a solid 8 out of 10. I highly recommend it, and I know for some people this is a 10 out of 10. But I also hear a lot of them say because it's nostalgia, them growing up watching this, when it first came out. And I get that. I think definitely you can have nostalgia for this film. But for somebody who had never seen this film before, yeah, I think this definitely still hits all the marks. Even, from 1976 all the way to 2023, I think this hits all the right marks. This is, for somebody, if somebody's looking for something they're not really big into horror, this is like a gateway horror. Like, it's kind of like something that's not so over the top horrific that's going to scare them away from ever, watching another one. But it's a good kind of way to ease them into maybe, the bigger stuff, the bigger titles, the more gorier titles. But I think this one, I'm very happy that I picked this one up. Absolutely thrilled to have this one on 4K. So, like, subscribe, and comment if you get the chance, and I will catch you in another episode. Take care.